Hey guys, Mr. BeetleBum here. One thing I keep hearing over and over and over. How do I get better? How do I get better? How can I improve at World of Tanks? Well, guys, sit back and I'm going to bring you 10 different things that will help you improve at the game of World of Tanks. All right, so let's just dive right into this. First, let me just say that there's going to be 10 tips here for you, but they're not really in any particular order, okay? Because quite simply, everybody has something that they need to work on more than the other person. So these are just 10 things that are very important for everybody to get used to doing. All right, so seeing as how they're not in order, let's start with number one here. Tracking. Track, baby. Track, baby. There's a reason why I have an emote on my Twitch channel saying tracking. It is extremely important, and I always talk about it during streams, letting people know why it's so important. When you track an enemy, not only does it benefit you, but it benefits your team. And what I mean by that is when you track the enemy, if he uses his repair kit, then you're going to be able to track him again, and then he's not going to be able to move for like 30 seconds or whatever it is. Here's the thing. A lot of players, unfortunately, they get caught with a track when they've already used it. So they get stuck there. And when they get stuck, that means you can go track, get him stuck, damage, damage, track, damage, damage, track, damage, damage, they're dead, that kind of thing. That's why it's so important. But here's the second part, and even more important reason why it's so important to learn how to do, is because it helps your team. In other words, you track them and your teammates can shoot them as well because they can't go anywhere now. So what I always do is whenever I track, I always hit the T button, which puts a target on top of the enemy tank that I just tracked. Sometimes if I'm in a platoon, I'll even say in Discord, tracked, and I'll hit the T button right afterwards, so whoever's in my platoon can see who I'm talking about, and immediately they draw attention to that tank and fire and just focus fire him until he's dead. Now, a lot of people will say, "Well, Mr. BeetleBum, I want the damage. I don't want the team to get the damage. I want the damage." Well, here's what I can tell you. Okay, still do it. Why? Because it improves your chance of winning the game. Secondly, and this is geared towards the person who wants all the damage, or at least the kill, I should say. Almost always, and I mean it, man, it seems to be like 75, 80% of the time, when I track a tank, it tends to be I get them when they're full health, and boom, I track them. And then someone might shoot them. Then I shoot them again, and someone might shoot them, maybe someone else. And it seems like by the time I go to shoot them, their health is, and I get the kill shot in. I'm telling you, I mean it. It happens so much that I get the track, everyone starts mine, and yet I still get the kill shot. So I wouldn't worry about that. And besides, what I'm trying to teach isn't about how to get, easy, great win 8 numbers. That's easy peasy, man. That's easy to do. What I'm talking about is helping your team, improving your game so that you yourself will be a better player. Okay, so track. I wish Wargaming would come out with a hero medal for maybe tracking 5 times in one game, or make it even more, like 7 times. I've had games where I've just tracked one tank itself, like a T95 that takes a while, or a mouse, man. Just keep them tracked like, 8 times, just that one tank until everyone's able to kill it. And I just sit there and I don't even care about the damage. I just go for the tracks. Anyways, moving on. Number 2. This one is real simple. You've probably heard this before, but I want to repeat it because it's very important. Watch videos, streams, learn. The number one thing that I tell people that come into the BeetleBum Brigade, that's the clan that I have, is we really have one rule, is just no stat shaming. No, don't be toxic, no stat shaming, because it's not about stats. It's about improving. But at the same time, what I always say is don't stat shame. When you're in the game, try to help your team. And when you're out of the game, try to learn. In other words, try to improve. Knowledge brings confidence. The more you study is the more you learn. The more you learn about, and this is about anything in life, guys, the more you learn about something, the more confident you are about it. In other words, the more you learn about the game of World of Tanks, the more confident you're going to be when you're playing it. And the more confident you are, the more likely you're going to make those right decisions. You're going to push and bully when you need to. You're going to pull back when you need to. Okay? So by watching videos by YouTubers, watching streams by the streamers on Twitch, that allows you to see what they do and then figure out, as I did when I started playing, and I got to know some Unicum players and I played with them. I started realizing, hey man, he's doing this. I didn't do that. Maybe I should try doing that. And that's how it works. It's so easy. It's visual. You see something, your mind goes, oh, that's different. And then the next time you're playing, you remember that. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, maybe we should try that. And if you see an improvement, you might go, oh, okay. And you start doing that. So spend time out of the game learning. I don't mean take a second career of, 4 hours a night of learning. I just mean when you got some time, go watch some videos like this, and go watch streams on Twitch. And it will help you greatly. All right, let's move on to number 3 here. Number 3. Again, this is something that if you watch my streams on Twitch, you're going to hear me say this over and over and over again, especially when people ask me about, what do you think about this tank? What do you think about this tank? What do you think about this tank? Well, it's real simple. Know your tank's strengths and weaknesses. Yeah, know your tank's strengths and weaknesses. Basically, each tank's going to have both strengths and weaknesses. And then you can do things, if you know your strengths and weaknesses, you can do things to help that. Either help your strengths or strengthen your weaknesses. I'll give you an example. One of the tanks that I like to play, and just for fun, is go jump down to, every once in a while, jump down to tier 5 and play the T67, or maybe a tier 7 Super Hellcat. There's another example. A tank that's got a turret, but the turret rotation and traverse is very slow. Okay? So because I understand that, oh, okay, that's one of the worst attributes about that tank, I can put down an improved rotation mechanism, and that will help speed it up. I can also make sure that I get my crews trained up on the crew skill that helps the gun traverse and rotation. So again, because I realize what the issues are, I can strengthen them. And also with those tanks, T-78 is another perfect example, another tier 5 TD with a very slow turret turn. Another thing is, if I know that, then when I'm coming up to a position where I'm about to shoot at an enemy and the enemy's over to my right, well, let's say I'm cresting up to a ridge, and I know that the tank on the other side is over to the right. Instead of driving up and then turning my gun, like a lot of times we do, because we're looking around and doing, you have to be able to know ahead of time, okay, I have to focus first. So what I mean by that is, before you drive up to crest the ridge, you already turn your turret. You already turn, so you're focused, aiming towards him. And then you pull up and you shoot and you pull back down. You can't, you can't just go up there and then go, or else you're just going to get, you're going to be like the guy at the end of Platoon, William Dafoe's character, like that, right? And we don't want that. So again, that comes from knowing your weaknesses and strengths. It might be weaknesses of armor. It might be weaknesses of traverse, like we're talking about. There's so many different things, guys. But again, it all comes down to learning your tanks. Don't rush into them, jump into them, play 5 games, and like, oh, this tank sucks. Normally takes me about 20 games to 20 to 40 games to really get a good grasp on what the weaknesses on, what the strengths, how to angle, what I need to do to use my armor effectively, all that kind of stuff. So there you go, man. Know your tank strengths and weaknesses. You'll definitely see an improvement playing that tank. Let's go to number 4 here. Don't rush up the tank lines. I can't say this one is huge. Huge. I always tell people, especially new players, guys, don't get suckered in. If you're brand new, please don't get suckered in and rush up to tier 10, or more importantly, tier 8, actually. This game is really, really set up right now where it's super easy for a new player to rush up. It's way faster to grind the levels than it used to be back in the day. Like, I've been playing this game for over 8 years now, man. And back in the day, man, it took a long time. you know, and with blueprints and everything else coming into the game, and just the fact that now there's less XP, you know, needed and all that, it just seems like it's way faster. Plus, we have events where, you know, high tier 8, tier 10 tanks are getting given out as rentals, you know, if you don't have that to a new player. During Dynasty Wars, for example, guys, a brand spanking new player came in and could have a tier 10 rental tank. I thought that was one of the worst things possible, because you just said it's like sending a lamb to the slaughter. Imagine being brand spanking new at this game, because it's got a high learning curve, right? We all know that. And can you imagine being brand new, like with less than 50 games on your belt, and all of a sudden Dynasty Wars starts and you got a brand new tank? Anyways, my point, let's not talk about that. My point simply is don't be in a rush. You want to get good at the game and you're new, get to tier 5. Tier 5 is when it goes from being they're all basically just like, you're going to die in a few minutes. You only got a certain amount of HP. Yes, they buffed it, but you know what? They're all basically the same thing. They're all, you're dead. Whereas at tier 5, you start seeing different attributes, different kind of tanks. You know, you got your AT2 with a full frontal armor that can withstand everything. You got your T67s or Stugs that can't take a lot. You got your KV1 with all different kinds of guns that can side scrape. You got your T1 that can't side scrape to save its life. You got such a variety, man. It's so good to just take your time. 5,000, 10,000 games. I know everyone's in a rush. But again, this isn't about being, you know, how to get to tier 8 fastest. If you want me to make a video about how to get to tier 8 or tier 10 fast, no problem. That's easy. But this is about how to get really good at the game. And if you want to get really good at the game, you want to stay at tier 5, 6, let's say 4, 5, and 6, okay? That gives you 3, because every tank line, the best tank for you to learn on is not always number 5. Most of the time it is. But I'll give you an example. The Italian medium line, the tier 4 is a wicked good tank. And the tier 6 is pretty good. The tier 5 is okay, but the tier 6 I like better. So anyways, you know, let's just say 4, 5, and 6. Spend at least 10,000 games. I mean, a lot of games in there. And you'll learn. You'll learn. And there's 2 other things that tie into this. One other thing I'm going to talk about right now is if you stay there, you're going to train up your crews. One of the top reasons why people who rush up the lines, why they just, you know, end up leaving the game. They get frustrated and they just say, you know, screw this game. This sucks. You know, I'm always getting killed. Well, you know why you're getting killed? Because you have very little crew skills. You're lucky if you got 6 cents if you rush up the line. Maybe you got 6 cents and you got like one other one. Well, guess what, guys? You're going to be facing guys at tier 8. You're facing guys with like 4 or 5 crew skills on each crew member. Not 4 or 5 crew skills combined, okay? Big difference. If you stay at tier 5 and play a bunch of different tanks and learn the different type of tanks, you can also pick, you know, the lines you want to go up and get those crew skills trained up, so that by the time you leave tier 4, 5, 6, whatever, by the time you leave there, let's say you've got at least 3 crew skills. Now you got, for example, on your commander, 6 sense, recon, your radio operator or your commander's got situational awareness. You got full repair if you're in a medium or a heavy. You got full concealment if you're in an arty, a TD, or a light. You got the advantage now. You're going to be equal or better than a lot of the players that you see. And that's going to help you be better than other players. So you got to stick it around the mid tiers, learn the game, and get your crew skills up. Okay, the next one is going to be right in line with what I just said. Another reason why you want to stick around the mid tiers for a long time when you're starting at this game. Or even if you're just restarting, like you've played for a long time, but you just never improved, and now you're trying to focus in on improving. Another reason why you want to stay in the mid tiers for a long time is learn the topography and map strategies. What I mean by this is every map has 3 columns. You got your middle, and then you got your 2 flanks. One flank tends to have better coverage from artillery, and that's where the heavies go. They're slower, they need more cover. And then the other flank tends to have less, so you have your faster mobile heavy medium tanks go down there. Now, of course, you can mix and match mediums with heavies and whatnot. That's no problem. And then your lights tend to do the middle with the TD supporting them and the arty in the back. That's just a quick synopsis of map strategies. I make map strategy videos for all the different maps showing where each class should go to start with, and then fallback positions, secondary positions, and all that kind of stuff. You need to learn those, because if you're not going to the right place, it harms your team. And also about learning the maps is topography, meaning the lay of the land. By learning this, you're going to learn where you can take your tank, where you can, where you can hide, which bushes are good to double bush behind in a tank destroyer, where you can hull down in your brand new Visconti, whatever it's called, the Italian Heavy. I call it a Visconti. Anyways, I know it's not called that. Or your T-29. There you go. Although there's plenty of hull down tanks. You can't just go to anywhere and haul down. You have to have a berm or something. You need the ground to go up in front. If there's no dead tanks or rocks or anything in a town, I'm talking about it on a field. You have to learn topography. Okay, so again, topography and maps. That's another great thing, and yet again another reason why. So that would be number 5. Number 6 is use your mini map. Okay, the mini map is so important. We stress it all. Good players stress it all the time. First of all, don't let your mini map be this big. Okay, blow it up. I don't mean take up the full screen or half the screen, but it literally should be, about the size of me right here, but over on the other corner, over on that side. It should definitely take up about, I don't know, an eighth of your screen, and then also learn to communicate. And what I mean by that is, if say for example you're a light tank and I'm gonna go scout the left flank, the 9 line. I say it in chat at the beginning and I ping it. I always say scouting the 9 line, ping. That lets the whole team know. There's no excuse. They know that I'm going 9 line. If you need help, hit the ping, and let people know. The worst thing, how many times has this happened to you? You're playing and you're in a tank destroyer meeting, whatever. You're just focused in on the battle that you're in, right? And you're doing battle, and all of a sudden behind you, boom, 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 boom. William Dafoe again, getting slaughtered by shells. Why? Because the flank fell, and the guys in the flank didn't even ping the map or let you know. They didn't say anything in chat. They didn't ping. Pinging is very important, guys, on the mini map. The reason being is because when I'm focused in, and when good players are focused in, they're just, they're watching their mini map as much as they can. But there's times where you can't watch. You got 3 players coming at you, and you gotta track, and you gotta do damage, and you gotta move, man. And at that point, you can't always be watching that mini map. So what happens when I hear ding, 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 ding? That's when you spam. That's when you go ding, 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 ding. Like when I say spam, I just mean like 3 times. I don't mean, 100 times. I just mean go ding, 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 ding. And it will get the attention. People will be like, what? And as soon as they see the flanks empty, then people at least can move and try to set up so that they can deal with that. If you just don't say anything, people get slaughtered. That's when the toxicity levels just go through the roof. Everyone starts yelling at each other, and a lot of players just simply don't know. The other thing you can do, and I'm not one to tell you to play with mods. I do use some mods, but you decide for yourself what you want to do. But there are mods that, like, if you come to my streams and watch me play, you're gonna see what I have is I have like these little markers where you can draw on the mini map, and I try not to abuse that, but anyone who's running XVM can see that. So what I'll do is I will actually draw a line sometimes as to where I'm going, and if a flank is open, same thing. Like a flank falls, I'll ping the mini map and I'll draw a line coming down a couple times, where it's like they'll know, like, okay, if they see a line coming down, they know, oh shit, that means he knows there's tanks coming down, that kind of thing. So it's all about communication. Communication is huge, man, and your mini map is your #1 way of using communication. The chat, I would say, is very, very good, but it's secondary. People look at the mini-map. Good players look at the mini-map more than they do chat. Okay? So that's why, because they tend to be in their platoons with their headphones on, and they're using Discord, and they're doing the chat, talking to their platoon mates. But when they want to talk to the team, a lot of times it's just because it's very easy to use with your fingers without actually typing words and whatnot, to just ping around and that kind of stuff. Number 7. Again, you'll hear me say this so much in my streams. Already safe, already safe, already safe, already safe. It's that simple, guys. People rage about Artie. I just made a video parody, a rock parody about Artie's hate and all that. And when people say, hey man, Mr.BeetleBum, do you hate Artie? No, I don't. No, I don't, man. I'm actually quite the opposite. If Artie kills me, I give him a tip of a hat, man. Because, hey man, you did a good job if you got me. I think the people who hate Artie the most, and I'm not here to talk down those people, but they're the aggressive players, and I understand their hate for it. I understand what they're talking about. They're being very aggressive. Like if you're three marking, that kind of thing, you have to be aggressive. And if you're an aggressive player, you're going to get hit more. But here's the thing, okay? Forget the argument about if Artie are good or bad. They're in the game. So let's just figure out how to deal with them, okay? Every time you get lit, every time you know you're about to be lit, get the shot off, and then while you're reloading, I mean, haul ass to a rock, to a house, to a corner, to a tree. It doesn't matter what, a dead tank. It doesn't matter what it is. Just get somewhere. You always have to know, by knowing maps. Remember I talked about learning maps, map strategies and topography? By learning maps, you'll know where arties tend to play. So if you know where the shots are going to be coming from, you'll be able to know, like, okay, I'm behind this rock and I'm going to be safe now. And then all you do, this is no good reason for having mods, is you can have, on the mods, you can have your 6th sense, but you can keep it so that it stays there for 10 seconds. So in other words, you know when it's safe to go out. That in mind, remember, you can actually be spotted longer than 10 seconds. Lights can have you, with a crew skill, they can add 2 seconds onto it, and then with a directive, they can add another 2 seconds onto it. So they can actually have you lit for 14 seconds. But 10 seconds is the rule. I tend to go out after 11 seconds if I know I'm spotted. So a lot of times, my tanks, the reload on them are going to be that long anyways. So it really doesn't matter if I'm, hiding, because I can't do anything anyways. And I only do that if I'm lit. If I'm not lit, then of course I just keep sitting in the bush or sitting in the position that I'm in, whatever it is, and I just wait for my reload, and then bam, I shoot again. But if you think you're spotted, or you're for sure if your 6th sense goes off, haul ass, get Artie safe, and you're not going to rage as much, and you're still going to be able to do damage. I have no problem, and this isn't I'm telling you, I have no problems averaging top 3 damage in a lot of games, no matter if I'm playing TD, medium, or whatever, and I still play Artie safe. I totally understand if you're being the aggressive players, the higher. I'm talking more for people learning it to improve, but the guys who are already top-notch players, I understand the reason why they don't like it, because they have to be aggressive, because they're doing 4, 5,000, 6,000, 8,000 damage a game. That's what their goals are, and yeah, they got to go. Anyways, where are we at here? Is it number 8? Yeah. Angle. You'll hear some people say that a lot. And all that means, quite simply, is always be angling your tanks. Look, guys, this isn't just for heavies and mediums, okay? Heavies and mediums, it's a no-brainer. You're in the city, you're brawling close range. You've got to use your armor you got to just squeeze every ounce, every drop of advantage out of your armor. So obviously, big part of that is angling. I always give the example of your tank is a square. Well, make it into a diamond so that the corner is facing the enemy who's shooting at you. That's the best rule of thumb. Okay, but this is why you gotta learn how to angle. It's because, and also this ties into, remember I said about knowing your tank strengths and weaknesses? This ties into that one as well, because there's different types of heavy tanks when it comes to armor. Some tanks are going to be better if you go on an angle, whereas some tanks, like pike nose ones, are better if you go face first towards the enemy. So there you go. You got 2 different types, but you got to learn and know how to angle. Is it just aiming, keeping, looking right at them like a mutant? There's another tank. Just look right at it. The T1. Its armor on the side is useless. Armor on the front's its best thing. Keep turning that big heavy tank towards whoever's shooting you. But anyways, angle is very important. It gives you the best opportunity, the best chance to bounce. And that's not the only time you want to angle, guys. What about, I angle in my SU-130 and my TDs all the time. I'll be driving down the field or something, or sometimes I got to make a move where I know I'm going to be out in the open or something, and I make sure that I do the little wiggle it just a little bit as I'm driving, because every time I move and the shell hits a moving target, it's an angle. And it's a better chance that you're going to get a ricochet than if you're just driving straight and letting them shoot straight on to your armor. So angle when you're playing the heavies and mediums and brawling, angle when you're driving, angle when you're driving out into the open, or that you know you're going to get shot, just start doing the angling, all that kind of stuff. Also, angling also means doing the bounce. So in other words, if someone's about to shoot your, say you're driving a Renegade and you got your Coppola and it's a big Tuma, it is a Tuma, and it's way up there, it's huge, right? And everyone knows it's going to shoot at. There are ways to do it. If the tumor's over on this side, then you want to try to go around corners that are turning left, not right. Because if you're turning right around a corner, your tumor's going to show. If you're going around the left-hand side, your tumor's not going to show. But anyways, let's just say you're going around right and your tumor's showing, okay? Your Coppola's showing. You got to rock it, baby. You got to go back and forth. Keep that thing going, you know? I'm going to look stupid here. But keep that tumor just bouncing around. And again, movement equals ricochets. Not always, but it gives you a better chance. All right, so the next one. 9 is know your role, play your class right, and play to your skill. In other words, if you're in a paper TD, right? I'm very well known for playing my SU-130, my Stug, my T-67, stuff like that, you know. That's my Stug. I did like 13 to 15,000 games in it when I was learning. The T-67 overall, I probably got like 6,000 games over my career in that tank. I just love those ones. The SU-130, right, hands down, is my most played tank. The Tier 8 Premium TD. Scorpion I love. I just love sniping TDs. Okay, but if you're in a sniping TD and it's paper, you've got to know that. Again, knowing your strengths and weaknesses. So that means you got to know that you can't just go out leading the rush, baby. You're going to get decimated. William Dafoe. I got to get that little gif. But anyways, you're going to get slaughtered. So in other words, heavies, play as heavies. Heavies, stop sniping in the back, okay? If you're new and you're playing a heavy and you're in the back, right beside the tank destroyers who are sniping, you're playing your tank wrong. If you're in a light and you're in the back and you're sniping, you're playing your tank wrong. It's that simple. You're not helping the team. You're actually handicapping your team. You know, like, again, if you're playing a medium, you're supposed to be flanking. You're supposed to be trying to support the heavies, you know. It's just learn your class, play your class properly. If you play your class right, okay, you're going to make the chances of your team winning so much better. Now, if you're brand new, there's another thing I said there. I didn't just say play your role or play your class properly, but also play to your skill. Meaning if you're brand new and you're in a heavy, right? Say you're at tier 5 and you're in a KV-1. Awesome learning tank for heavies. Probably the first tank you should really learn on. But anyways, let's say you're in a match and it's a tier 7 match, okay? So there's T-29s out there and everything. I'm not telling you to be the first guy out to the city to brawl. I would recommend the opposite. Let the tier 7s, let the high tiers, even if they're high tier, even if your high tier is a medium, let that guy get in front of you. But you still got to go there. But now what you want to do is peep out or side scrape out behind the bigger guy. You know, let him hopefully be the shield because he's going to be able to block stuff better than you. That applies too with everything. Tank destroyers, mediums. If you're in a medium, right? You're at a tier 5 medium or a tier 7 medium and you're playing in a tier 9 match. If you're in a medium, let the other mediums be up front. Hang back, you know, 20 yards, that kind of thing. Support that tank, in other words, because now you're low tier. If you do that, you'll improve, man. That will greatly help you because you'll stay alive longer in the game. And anyone who knows how to play this game really well will tell you keeping your gun in the game is one of the important things. Stay alive. Stay alive, more guns on the team, more likely to win. It's that simple. Okay, so know your role. In other words, know your class. Heavies, brawling. Whoops. Heavies, go to the city, go brawl, stay already safe and all that. Mediums, flanking, supporting the heavies, supporting everywhere. TDs, hang back. Yes, there's going to be TDs that goes to the town. T95s, AT2s. There's a whole bunch of them, you know, real heavily armored. But I'm just saying in general. All right, guys, and finally, learn the mechanics. Everyone's probably going to say, well, dude, that should be number 1. Like I said, these aren't in any specific order, but learn mechanics. There's camo mechanics. There's armor mechanics. There's the shells mechanics. You know, which shells to use at what time. You know, my rule of thumb for me personally is I try to use AP for everything, okay? There's AP, there's your gold, and then there's what I call the splash. You know, your normal APs are your normal shots. They're going to have pretty good penetration, and they're going to have pretty good damage. Then you got your gold, which is going to be the same amount of damage, but higher penetration. And then you've got your final shell, which is going to be, I just call it the splash because there's different types, you know, and HE and heat and all that, and HESH and whatever. So let's just call it splash. So anyways, what that is that's very low penetration, but high damage. And so in other words, your AP is what you want to use all the time. And then when you say you're shooting against a high tier heavy, you're low tier and you got a high tier heavy. Say I'm in a tier 5 Stug and I'm fighting a T29. Well, it depends on the situation for myself. I'll still use the AP myself because I know where the weak spots are, which I highly recommend you learn. But that's another video. But the thing is, though, is there's certain times where I'll use the gold because, quite simply, normally it tends to be in a situation where we're down a few, and I can't spend a lot of time kiting this guy and tracking him, and then getting time to aim up the weak spots and something. I just got to shoot, and get damage in so that I can get rid of him and move on to him. That kind of thing. And in that situation, I use it. Go ahead and spam the gold if you want. I got no problem with gold. Gold costs credits, so everyone can get it. And now that everyone can get it, I have no issues with it. But that's me personally. But anyway, so I use AP mostly. I tend to always have like 5 shells. Let's say, like 30 of AP, 5 of the gold, and maybe 3 of splash. Depending what you are. But I'll tell you what, splash is very important too, because sometimes you're going to go up against a mouse at a certain tank. If you're lower tier, you won't be able to do damage. Even on weak spots, you won't be able to do damage. But guess what? You shoot splash underneath them, you're going to be able to get some splash damage underneath. You get some on the Copla, and you're probably going to get some. You'd be amazed how many times I've ammo racked and blown up tanks shooting them in the Coplas, man. And if you got a tank that's got pretty good dispersion and pretty good aim, like accuracy, you're going to be able to hit those Coplas. And if you throw some splash on there, sometimes you're only going to, a couple hundred damage or whatever. But then every once in a while, you're going to get that shot. And that's when you're just like, yeah, baby. That's when you get the whole going on, because that person's going to be pissed off. Anyways, it's by knowing the shell mechanics and which ones to use, that's going to help you big time. And then there's armor mechanics, like we talked about, how to use your armor and moving it around. Spotting mechanics, guys. Spotting's huge. It's a little wacky right now, and it has been for quite a while. It's not consistent, but you still got to understand the basics of it. There's proxy spotting. There's your view range, keeping the enemy, all the red tanks on the outside of your first ring on your mini map. That's your view range ring. And if you can do that, you're not going to get lit. You can shoot all day long. But always remember, you got to block yourself not only from the person, keep yourself hidden from the person that you're shooting at. You always got to remember Jurassic Park, where they told you, well, the raptors always train from like coming at you from the side? Like that. Well, it's the same thing with World of Tanks, man. You got to protect yourself from the side as well. So anyways, that's the spotting mechanics. And then there's camo mechanics as well. Like, where are the markers on your tank? If you're in a bush, you've got to conceal yourself. Can I put my gun out? Is there a marker? Am I going to get spotted, just by having my gun out of the bush? How do I come around? Do I drive out with my gun and my tank going this way? Yeah, there you go. That's the tank. That's the gun. And here's the rock. Do I go like this? Or do I just turn and go like this? Yeah, you do this because of spotting mechanics. These are all things to learn. So there you go, guys. 10 big tips on how to improve at the game of World of Tanks. I hope this helps. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. I know this is a long video, but hey, man, it's 10 real good tips for you. And if you have any questions about it, ask questions in here in YouTube. I always get back to everything. I always try to reply to something, especially if it's a question. And then also, if you want to see it in action, come over to Twitch and watch my streams and ask questions. If you say, hey, man, what about angle? I'll jump in a tank and show you. If you want to know how to double bush, I'll jump in a tank and I'll show you. It's stuff like that. Speaking of angle, here's one way. A lot of people say, well, I don't get the whole diamond thing. Okay, well, just think about this. Imagine your tank's got 4 wheels like a car, okay? When you want to angle, your gun should be over one of the front tires, okay? So in other words, you turn and your gun is over the front point, and if that gun is aiming at your enemy, then you know you got a basic good angle. Again, some tanks you angle, some tanks you go head on. But I just wanted to throw that out there because I find that lately when I'm teaching people, at first they don't, when I say angle, they try doing it, they over angle and everything. They don't get the corner because sometimes it doesn't work. So once I started using the analogy of tires, because we all drive cars, well, at least most of us that play this game do, it just seems like people start clicking real quick. It's like, oh shit, I'm bouncing. So maybe that will help. That's a bonus little tip there, okay? To go with the angling is think of your tank having tires, and when you want to angle when the enemy's about to shoot at you, get it so that your gun is aiming at the player that's shooting at you and make it go over your front tire. All right? All right, guys, I hope you're having yourselves a great day. Enjoy this awesome game, World of Tanks. And like I said, man, thumbs up, thumbs down, either way, let me know. Leave a comment, let me know what you think about what I'm doing. If you do enjoy what I'm doing, trying to help players, then I highly recommend that you subscribe to my channel and come by Twitch and just be a viewer. You don't have to pay, you don't have to subscribe or give me bits or anything. Just you being there watching and interacting and asking questions, that makes it all worthwhile. So until the next time, guys, I'm Mr. BeetleBum. I'm out.